Thank you and welcome to today's candidate forum, brought to you in partnership with the City Club of Central Oregon and the League of Women Voters of Deschutes County, two organizations that are passionately nonpartisan and whose purpose today is to engage and inform Central Oregon voters for the general election. Our goal is to provide an opportunity for fair and impartial discourse, to educate voters about candidates' views on issues, and to stimulate voter interest and participations in elections. Today, we are hosting the candidates for the Sister School Board District 6. The Sister School Board of Education is the governing body for the Sister School District 6. It is the board's job to set policy, hire the superintendent, and provide leadership for schools. The board consists of 5 elected community members who serve a 4-year term and may be re-elected. My name is Kim Scott, League of Women Voters past president, and I am honored to serve as moderator today. I'd like to give you a quick shout out for City Club and League of Women Voters of Deschutes County, annual sponsors and members. Without their support, we would not be able to bring you today's program. Today's live stream is also made possible by Connect Central Oregon, a nonprofit launched with the assistance of OSU Cascades Innovation CoLab. Our sponsors for the entire series of candidate forums are G5, Miller Lumber, Brooks Resources, the Deschutes Public Library, Shirshaw's Group, and Louis Capozzi. We are grateful for their support for all of these educational forums. If you are interested in supporting City Club or the League of Women Voters, please check out our websites to get more information, cityclubco.org and lwvdeschutes.org. All candidates who are in contested races were invited to participate via email and then a follow-up phone call. We do not let lack of response or an RSVP of regret cancel our forums. We appreciate the gravity of committing to running for office, and our goal is to provide an opportunity for fair and civil discourse. Thank you to our candidates for participating in today's forum. We will start with opening statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening remarks, and for each question, each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. At the end, again, each candidate will have a 2-minute closing statement. For opening and closing statements, we have randomly selected the order. So let's get started. The candidates that are participating today are for position 1, Jennica Goddale. For position 5, Kevin Eckert and Edie Jones. So we're going to start with opening statements, and the first will be Kevin. If you'll give a 2-minute opening statement. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for the introduction and thanks for the opportunity. I live in Sisters. I have one son still in the district. He's a sophomore in high school, and one that just graduated last year out at the rodeo grounds. We relocated to Oregon permanently a couple of years ago after being part-time here for many years, and to also come back to where my wife is from as well. So long time returning to Central Oregon, but we're glad to be here. I've done a lot of volunteering for schools. I'm currently a volunteer coach at the high school. I believe our schools are really well run. I believe the school board's been doing an excellent job. The tipping point for me to enter the race is the upcoming school bond that I'm very supportive of, and I imagine we will talk more about today. And the resulting goal to build the new elementary school over by the other 2 schools. I have a background in planning, design, building, running finances and budgets. And when I saw the value of the bond and the proposed amount of things that bond needs to go to, I figured I could be of service to the school board in helping with that. So I couple that experience along with my other experience in the school system and figured I could add value as a person not necessarily tightly tied to education and having previous teacher experience. I find that very well represented on the current board, and wanted to offer a different skill set to help round out the board over the next 4 years.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kevin, for your remarks. Edie Jones, you're next. Thank you. You are muted.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the invitation to join you. I have lived in the district for 30 years, and I have enjoyed my time here. I have served on the sister school board and also the board of the international school in Bend. I am the mom of 4 happy, capable, successful adults and 7 grandchildren. And from that, I have a feel for what I think kids need in order to be successful adults. And one of those is a well-run school district to help them get there. I have been an educator my entire adult life. And so I have taught from preschool on up in through the levels up into college, and have been an adult educator for the past 35 years. I feel I understand what schools need, what they want to accomplish, and how they go about their business. I have a good understanding of this relationship between a board and the superintendent. And I also have a passion for early childhood learning, and am so pleased that we received some of the preschool dollars. I also am very strong supporter of project-based education, which is one of the things our district shines in. With all the families moving into our area, it is very important that we do pass the bond issue, and I support it wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Jennica Goddale. Would you like to go for your 2 minutes?
Thank you. I also just want to extend a thanks for the opportunity to join this. This is near and dear to my heart. I am also Living Sisters, and I'm running for the school board primarily because I love the youth of our community. I am engaged in the community, very active across the board, and I have one daughter in 4th grade, and as I've just gotten to know the kids of all ages, I love them, I respect them, and I've been so impressed with the board and with our district, with the teachers and the staff, and I saw a need, an opportunity to help and to step up. I have a degrees in communication, also in business administration. My MBA is at Willamette, and I currently work at Les Schwab headquarters, managing teams and budgets. And I saw that this could be essential skill set for being on the board. And so one thing that's really important to me is, as well as just the equity at every level, and the making sure that the kids and all the families and the community and all those perspectives are heard, because I really believe in the mission and the vision statement of that: belong, prepare, inspire, and that's really powerful. And just making sure that continues. I also feel strongly about the accountability and transparency, and that's something else that another reason why it's important to run and to get those perspectives.
Thank you, Jennica. That was, all of those were excellent. Now we're going to go to the question part of the forum. The first question, pretty much all of you have answered. Do you support the school bond that is on the ballot this election? And what parts do you support, and why do you not support other parts? And who goes first? Okay, and Jennica, you're first.
Okay. I do support the bond measure. We have a lot of growth related challenges. Edie and Kevin have both touched on those. We're reaching over capacity and overcrowding, and just the expense of the upkeep of the old building, it just makes sense. It also makes sense to bring the school over to create a campus. And yes, I hope we do. I hope it passes.
Thank you very much. Edie, you're next for the same question. Would you like me to repeat?
No, I think I know. Um, I really do support the bond issue in that I know that now the elementary school is already overcrowded. And as the principal said, we're almost teaching in closets, and I wouldn't want to teach in a closet. I remember teaching actually in a hallway. So I know what that's about. And I think the fact that it will combine or put the elementary school over in the same campus as the middle and high school is just very positive. It gives it a whole entity. It also does allow some extra money for maintenance of the buildings that we do have. And it allows some expansion of different things on our campus for both on the grounds and in buildings so that it will be well used. And it does not in any way make more money for citizens to have to pay because it is connected, will start out at the time the other bond issue finishes. So I am very much in support of the bond issue and do hope that it passes, that we really, really need it.
Thank you so much, Edie. Now, Kevin, if you'd like to answer the same question.
Yeah, so Jennica and Edie both shared a lot of the same sentiments, the need, the overcrowding. The concern I have, and I understand why the bond is structured the way it is, to be the same value it was 20 years ago when it was used to build the high school, is that I know $33 million sounds like a lot of money, and it certainly is to every taxpayer like myself that'll be funding it. At the same time, Ridgeview High School was just completed for $80 million. So I have, high schools are not elementary schools, but I have concerns just being in this industry for many years about how to program, how to design, how to meet a lot of goals for that project coming up that will serve sisters for a long time. And to do it on what is, I wouldn't call it a tight budget. I would just say it's right there where it needs to be, and in an era when cost escalation is really increasing. So again, to underscore why I'm here, I looked across the board in the administration, all wonderful people, and I did not necessarily see someone who could bring a perspective to the board and to support the administration on what is going to be a great and also challenging project. There's also a lot of opportunities, as Edie pointed out. We could use hopefully some of the funding for other facilities and for other things, and I think that would be great. You know, the old elementary school will then be available for either reuse, reappropriation, something that will also be a great opportunity for sisters. So there's a lot of moving parts, and I see those as, again, opportunities, but also challenges. I don't want to undermine the value of the bond that is being proposed, as it does not change the property tax amount for everyone. At the same time, we just need to be really responsible with that funding.
Great. Thank you so much, Kevin. Next question, Edie, you'll be first. What are your thoughts on the amount and diversity of science education each student should have from K through 12?
Well, I think that science education should start as early as possible, even before kindergarten if possible. And it can be presented in so many different ways. As far as the amount, I really don't know. I think it can be worked into all kinds of things. I'll be at a conference in a couple of weeks where they are teaching math as a science and helping kids understand. The title of the class is Why Some Animals Have Camouflage. And they are approaching it as a science, but also a math class so that they have to figure out all kinds of things. Many different ways that science can be brought into a classroom, whether it's indoors or outdoors. But in every instance possible, it should. And so all of the STEM, all of the pieces, the math, the science, the technology, everything that kids are going to need as they get older It's very important. And so there really should be a strong emphasis no matter what age they're at. They need to start early and continue all the way to graduation.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Edie. Kevin, you're next on it. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm comfortable with the question. Thank you. I agree with Edie. You can't start too early on teaching science. I would start conceptually with where we are as a nation. You know, we've been slipping in our science literacy for decades, and I think our district is strong in science, but STEM and other opportunities at all levels would be most welcome. Yeah, I just would fully support any technical education that could come into the school district at any level. There's no such, I've never heard anybody say, I wish I had less technical education. So anyway, I can just leave it with that.
Right. Thank you very much, Kevin. Okay. Jennica, would you like to answer that? Would you like me to repeat?
I would like you to repeat the question. Thank you. I just want to make sure I'm getting it right.
I know by the third time, it's like, oh, okay. What are your thoughts on the amount and diversity of science education each student should have from K through 12?
It's a very broad question, and science is very broad. I got a very interesting question the other day about my thoughts on like agriculture, vocation and training and different types of education. And I think one of the things that that Sisters is really great at is being very focused and picking a few things that we're really good at. It gets a little muddy when we try to start being good at everything or trying to do everything. And so science is important, and I would always applaud any effort that we do to provide opportunities for learning, not just about science, but then even how it's applicable and how it can be applied, and careers within the different sciences and the variety of science that are available. I think as the board reviews the fiscal needs of the district, then that's something to consider. But I think in terms of how it plays, it's an integral part of learning, and how the different sciences work together. I think it's really important.
Push the button, but it didn't work. Okay, Kevin, next question, you're first. Next question. In the past, the issue of having a 4-day school week versus a 5-day school week has come up for the Sisters School District. Do you support a 4-day school week, and why or why not?
So I understand the board last week has decided to go forward with a 5-day school week next year, which, you know, is a decision the current board has made. We've been in a very strange year, and the 4-day really worked well during a pandemic to help students make up, you know, lost work, to do some outreach, to do some extra tutoring, really kind of address a lot of special needs for a lot of kids. And that from all indications that I've seen with my student and other students, that worked really well during this time. I happened to I had a hope that we would continue forward with the 4-day week. I know it causes a lot of issues for working parents, so maybe at just the high school level, but at least looking at the benefits of what that 4-day week provides, or at least some more flexibility around that Friday timeline. I also had a desire to see more programming, more VOTEC type of things potentially coming in online next year. Some things I've been involved in that I'd like to push into the fall, and those would have been well suited to a portion of the day on Friday outside of normal class time. So again, I don't want to overlook how important a 5-day structure is and all the benefits for it. I just saw a lot of a lot of benefits to the 4-day that would have liked to have been debated more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Okay, next, same question. Jennica, would you like me to repeat?
Sure, might as well.
Okay, in the past, the issue of having a 4-day school week versus a 5-day school week has come up for the sister school district, sorry. Do you support a 4-day school week, and why or why not?
Okay. As a working parent, I am not personally in favor of a 4-day school week. Our family works better with structure and schedules, and my daughter loves to be in school, and she's bouncing off the walls when she's not in school. So from a personal perspective, I prefer a 5-day school, 5-day school week, but not, that doesn't always work for everyone. And, is when the board is making a decision, it's weighing the pros and cons of each and getting input from the community and finding what's going to work best for everyone. And what works best for the whole might not work best for me personally or my child personally, but I think getting that input is important. I think there's a shifting dynamic in sisters a little bit right now. There hasn't traditionally been a lot of childcare options. There's starting to be some more now, but it's still fairly limited. So those options are tricky. For the older kids, maybe if it was just for high school, where, those who are working or needing some extra help, that could inform that as well. But I think it's an issue that would, it sounds like the board has gone through that, but there's a lot of perspectives that need to be considered.
Oh, thank you very much, Jennica. Edie, same question. Would you like me to repeat?
No, you don't need to repeat.
Okay.
It's, I, as Kevin, am very much in favor of the 4-day, but I really do appreciate what Jennica said. I think that we do need to take in consideration parents that work, and perhaps the effort needs to be in trying to find more childcare that is appropriate for the especially younger kids. But having heard the principals talk about the benefits of having that Friday that is a work day for them to work together, I think the schools have been working together better. I think they've been operating well with that, so that because they are able to work as a team and spend that time wisely. There also is time for more tutoring, more outreach, more one-on-one with kids, things that all kids really need. So I just think that the 4-day gives the option of so many different things to happen. The alternative was what they've had before was early dismissal on Wednesday. And to me, that just kind of seems like a way to chop up a day and not really accomplish near as much as having 4 solid days and then a day that can be used in a variety of different ways that we need to be open and take into account. And perhaps more work with the Parks and Rec district on that Friday so that there are more options for kids while parents have to work. But I am very much in favor of the 4 days school day.
Thank you very much, Edie. Now, can you get some water? Good. Okay, next question, Jennica, you're first up. What are the 2 to 3 needs that you see need to be priorities for the district to address, and why are these your priorities?
The first priority, I think, for a lot of other districts is the learning disparity that has just been exacerbated over the last year. I think Sisters has done a really good job of trying to to keep that as narrow of a gap as possible. But I think there's certainly room for improvement there, especially with in the high school and the older students that haven't been in the classroom as much this year. But more than the educational disparity, there's a gap now with the community building and the cultural aspects of it. We've really missed out on seeing the parents and the teachers, or the teachers with the other teachers, or even the kids among themselves, and the older grades and the interaction. And so I would say those are the kind of the top two that we really need to figure out. We have a lot of really difficult decisions ahead of us about how to approach that. But I'm also confident that the collective wisdom of the group can come up with a good plan for how to bring everyone back together and get us back on track.
Thank you very much, Jennica. Edie, your question next.
Okay, thank you. I would agree that one of the things that we need to build back, which Jennica talked about, is that connection with the community. There always in the past have been many times that the community has been able to come in and assist in different ways in the school system. And that has not been possible during the pandemic. So that to me is extremely important. I think that we need to pay attention to what really did work during the pandemic. I think that the teachers and the administration has learned some lessons of things they can utilize and continue when we go back to our regular time at school. So I hope that that will be a priority, to really look at those things and see what do we need to do. And I think that we need to have a strong focus on vocational things, so that and that's why I really like project-based learning, so that kids can learn hands-on situations, whether they're doing internships in the community, or being in the aeronautics program that we have. And then I would also like to really encourage the continuation of the early childhood programs that came through the preschool promise. It will be there for at least one more year, but if we can find a way to continue it later, I think that having universal preschool, or a preschool that all parents can afford, is extremely important in order to make those kids ready for kindergarten. Kindergarten is not what it used to be, and our kids need to be ready when they get there.
Thank you very much, Edie. Kevin, your question next.
Terrific. So I'd offer a couple of other ideas. The district is going to face some significant growth in the next handful of years. That can be seen as a challenge. The change can be seen maybe negatively by some. I just look at it as an opportunity. You touched on the VOTEC and some more project-based opportunities, which I fully support as well. The district currently runs with a large degree of volunteer support, which is terrific. My concern is that sustainable? So if we are starting out with internship programs and things like flight science woods that started out very small and grew into tremendous programs, what other opportunities like that might exist that we can leverage over these next few years, especially with facilities and more people coming into the district and more funding becoming available? So that's one big priority. I think we probably more nationally, but I think it touched us locally, have seen a need for civics and for empathy to return to our school district. We don't have a highly racially diverse district, but that doesn't mean we can't be sensitive and thoughtful about programs, teaching. I was surprised civics is no longer in high school, for example. I know that's being basically mandated again by the state, but just a general sense of teaching kids how things work, just how civics works, how the earth works. I'm not saying we're not doing that, but I'm thinking I'm seeing that we've lost our way on things that I think all of us that are grayer maybe had and took for granted in their education earlier. So yeah, a couple of items I'd like to see addressed.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next question, Edie, you will be first. What responsibilities, if any, should districts assume for dealing with societal problems such as poverty, hunger, mental illness, or drug abuse?
I think that all of these affect our kids, they affect our community tremendously, and we need to be very aware of them. We need to plan the activities at the school so that we are very sensitive to everybody that is there, no matter what their economic situation is, so that we are a very exclusive school. I think that the kids need as much drug and education that they can possibly get, so they know exactly what that means. And we need to be sensitive to parents and helping them deal with whatever problems kids might have. So a strong counseling program within our school, and to be alert when kids are having problems, alert when there is bullying, alert to times when kids are going hungry, so that we keep our programs going where kids will get fed. That it's difficult to know exactly how the school district needs to be involved, other than the fact that we need to be very aware of what everything is needed, and one by one, as those come up, address them in the very best ways we possibly can.
Thank you, Edie. Kevin, same question. Would you like me to repeat?
Yeah, that's a big question, please.
Thank you. What responsibilities, if any, should school districts assume with dealing with societal problems such as poverty, hunger, mental illness, or drug abuse?
So again, this has been a very unusual year. So I think the issues with kids in isolation and kids without the same, without maybe structure as some of the other kids, without stability at home, they suffered more. And I don't know if we've gotten to the bottom of that yet, but they've suffered more than a lot of kids that have that structure in place. So I think the pandemic's taught us a lot about that. I think it's shown us those problems are exacerbated, but I think we've learned a lot. The sister schools, from what they learned from when schools were shut down last year and restarted this year, really took an aggressive approach to outreach. Kids that weren't checking in, there was a lot of knocking on doors, counselors went into overdrive. It was an impressive effort. So again, the pandemic kind of ramped up our awareness and our program on how to keep kids from falling out. I'll point to the high school again. I think alternate programming, as I broached, so I won't talk about that much more, would be a wonderful way to bring some kids back in. We have a great graduation rate, but that still doesn't mean we're not missing some kids. I think, again, if you filter down to the younger level, that project-based education, things that really engage kids differently that don't necessarily fit the more typical model, would also be helpful for keeping them in the system. If they're in the system, those societal issues that are well beyond a school board's control can be addressed, and those kids can stand a chance to actually stay in the system and prosper.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Jennica, would you like me to repeat the question?
I think I got it, actually.
Thank you.
Thanks to Kevin. So as a school district, if our focus and if our main goal is educating our kids so that they will grow up to be self-sufficient, contributing to society, high functioning after graduation, then we need to also be focused on ensuring that they can be learning in the best way possible. And so to grow strong kids and to grow that education, those issues, they have to be at least addressed. Education is distributed en masse, but the best education is one by one. And what Kevin mentioned is, reaching it like one by one. And if kids are hungry, or if they're stressed, or if they're having other issues, or if there's issues at home, they're not learning. And so we're fortunate in Sisters to have an incredible community partnership. We have so many really outstanding partners that help with funding and the administration, and getting the kids and those families the help that they need. So even though it's outside of traditional education, it's creating the network and the structure that the kids need in order to even allow the education to sink in and to do its job.
Excellent answers, all of you. Thank you. Well, next question, Kevin, you're up next. What is your personal opinion regarding vouchers or charter schools?
Right. So I think we're fortunate in Sisters to have a well-run, well-administered, K through 12 series of schools. I could understand the voucher and charter school question in a larger district, a Bend or a Redmond even, where maybe it would make sense for the numbers of students, the diversity of students, the amount of students per grade level. I have not always, I know there's a lot of evidence supporting charter schools, the success of using vouchers to push kids into them. And I also know there's a lot of background concern that some of those statistics and data maybe aren't as positive as they look on face value for what they've done for the rest of the schools. So I don't think it's something Sisters needs to be looking at right now. I wouldn't say I'm completely closed off to it, but I think we have many other pressing priorities staring at us besides adding charter schools to the Sister School District.
Thank you very much for your answer. Jennica, you're next on that. Would you like me to repeat?
No, and I don't have a whole lot to add, quite frankly. Like, I think I would echo Kevin's statement. I'm not sure at this time how much leniency there is cross district. I'm not super familiar with that. So if that happens, I guess I am in favor of trying to reserve our seats for kids who live in Sisters, who actually live here full time and are here. But beyond that, I'm not seeing a lot of relevance for our district at the moment.
That's great. Thank you. Edie, same question.
I think Kevin and Jennica made a good point in that our district is fairly small, and that to try to add a charter school perhaps is not something we need to focus on. I have been on the board of the international school in Bend, which was a charter school, and was part of the organization that started it. And I was extremely impressed with how well it was run, how the kids that were there gained what their parents sent them for, in that they really were there because they wanted to enhance their language skills in Spanish, and excuse me, and also to learn as much as they could about other schools, other opportunities. In that school, the half of their time was spent in, and also the Hispanic children were in English speaking classes half of the time, and half of the time everybody was in Spanish classes. So it was really an immersion type of thing. We don't have enough students for that, but hopefully we have some opportunities that we could enlist some of the same kind of things within our school district, or encourage some of our kids who might want to have that kind of experience to actually go to a Ben charter school, which they can do because they have more kids. I think there's a lot of value in a charter school, but we do have to recognize our situation and what we can offer in the very best way.
Thank you very much for your answers on that. Okay, next question goes to Jennica. Jennica, the schools are closed when there's a concern for safety of children, be it from weather conditions or outside threats such as the COVID-19 pandemic. When schools are closed, what do you think should be the deciding factor for reopening the schools, and what groups or individuals would you look to make those decisions?
Again, this is a very big question. And I know it's one that our district has taken a lot of care in this last year. They've proven the diligence in being very thoughtful and methodical about the approach to return. A lot of that information, depending on the scenario, is of course coming from the Oregon School Board, from the state level, providing recommendations around, how the reopening and the rules, and so then that's considered. And then of course the input from the community and the staff and the teachers, who are there every day, that's important for their input. I think it's also important to be wise and judicious about making those decisions, but they also take as much time that we need to make the decision, but then let's get on with it. And belaboring details sometimes can backfire. And so I think moving as quickly as possible is usually helpful for all involved as well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jennica. Edie, you're next on that. Would you like me to repeat the question? It was a long one.
No, that's
Okay.
fine. That's fine. Well, for the pandemic, even though the governor at some point said that she was going to allow the different districts to make the decisions, she really has had very pretty rigid restrictions as to how they had to operate, as far as the number of people that could be in a building within a day's time, not necessarily at one time, but within a day's time, how often kids could return to a building, and how they could operate while they were there. So I think that the superintendents have had their hands, have had to do a lot of balancing on a rope to make sure that they did not cross those boundaries, because it would cost them some dollars if they were to cross over. At the same time, to recognize the skills of their staff, of their principals and their teachers, and the size of each of their buildings, how far they could put desks from each other, all of those particular things. So those kinds of decisions, actually, even though a board has a part in that, they are those are operational, made by the superintendent, decided on by the superintendent and staff, and And that is where that kind of needs to happen. As far as other kinds of things of why they were closed, whether it's snow days or whatever else, again, those are operational kinds of things that the superintendent's position, it's his position to make those decisions.
Thank you very much, Edie. Kevin, same question. Would you like me to repeat?
Please, yes.
Okay. Schools are closed when there is a concern for the safety of children, be it from weather conditions or outside threats, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. When schools are closed, what do you think should be the deciding factors for reopening the schools, and what groups or individuals would you look to make those decisions?
So yeah, I think in the case of a pandemic or a wildfire, it starts at the state level, right? There's going to be guidelines. There's going to be some things that are mandated and some metrics that are going to be measured. So at that level, and I think each of the other candidates has touched on it, you know, we're at sort of the mercy of the Oregon Health Authority and folks whose jobs I'm glad I don't have to try to sort through how to balance many things. I think even though the school board is not operational, I think the school board's role could be to support the superintendent and principals on helping come up with guidelines and also solutions to reopening. You know, we were running into things I know with insurance requirements and insurers' concerns, and there's concerns beyond just what the state level might bring that a board might be able to help influence or guide or provide at least some kind of support and pathway to again help the decision makers and operational folks find a pathway to bring students back. You know, some of them are very simple. If there's too much smoke, there's no going to school. But some of them are more nuanced, and sometimes there's just some rules or guidelines that third parties might put onto our district that are maybe not as they're made up, and maybe we need to make something better up, that as long as the safety and welfare of the students is maintained.
Thank you very much. This is the last question, and then we're going to go to closing statements. Last question goes to you, Edie, first. Do you believe that sex education should be covered in the schools with age-appropriate information? And would you limit that information to covering heterosexual examples only?
I do believe it should be in the school system, and I think that it would be in all situations and age appropriately presented. No, I think that as our world evolves and new ways of looking at human development and life and people, that our kids, as they get old enough to understand what the meanings behind the different types of sexual preferences, sexuality is presented, then we do need to open up discussions with them. At what point that happens, I am not really sure, but I think we need to be very aware of developmental ability to understand what is being said and what is being presented. So I think that it needs to be carefully considered as to how we present it and when we present information that is different than just normal sexuality that our kids might have gotten in the years past. But we are in a different era with different ideas and different norms, and it is important for our kids to be educated so they can make important educated decisions.
Thank you very much, Edie. Kevin, same question. Would you like me to repeat?
No, I'm good with answering. Thank you. So I do support sex ed in the schools at age appropriate levels, and I do support a well-rounded sex ed education. and I'd look to the kids. In the district we were in previously, this was not offered in school. There was some offering in school, but we believed and felt that it needed to be supplemented. So I took each of my boys in middle school to a class offered by Children's Hospital. And it was interesting when the topic of types of sexuality came up, asexual, heterosexual, almost, I mean, the list came up. My son turned to me, a sixth grader, and said, "Oh, like those folks, like those, I remember, yeah, like Amir's like this." And he was like, so what else do we need to talk about? He just related to people as people. And both my boys went through very similar reactions, and I thought, how great, like the next generation is already getting over this thing we're fighting in the trenches over while our planet is melting. So why, personally, I feel like it would be appropriate in the sister school district. Now, there may be differing opinions about that, and those should all be heard, and this should be vetted. But yeah, I fully support anything that helps our students understand people are people, even though they're different.
Thank you very much. Jennica, same question. Would you like me to repeat?
Yes, please.
Do you believe that sex education should be covered in the schools with age-appropriate information? And would you limit that information to covering heterosexual examples only?
So like eating, Kevin, I agree that it should be taught in the schools at age appropriate levels. Education is education, and it fits into the science category. And I have a particular religious point of view. I come from a family there's 7 brothers and sisters. There's 7 religions. We're each a different religion, and we have discussions and we talk about things. And we, like as human, we only create meaning out of our own meaning. And so when we're connecting emotion or our own preferences or viewpoints, that doesn't change reality, or it doesn't change the science part of it, right? So I think there's room for just opening the discussion, and kids have Google, right? Like they can just go Google stuff. So I'd rather it be taught in an open, supportive, educational setting, rather than, like we don't talk about it and then they just go Google it. And yeah, same like Kevin, we have lots of friends with lots of different family situations, and the kids it's just very matter of fact. And
thank you very much. Thank you all for all of your answers to all the questions that we have put forward to you. You've all done a great job. Now we will move on to our final and our 2-minute closing statements. I'm going to say, Edie, you're first up for 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to have these questions asked. I think that, for one thing, they help us clarify our thoughts on how we would approach them when they come up as school board members. And there are so many areas in the running of a school district that this is always important. I think that many of the things that were mentioned, Kevin mentioned civics, and I am so appreciative of the fact that he brought that up, because that to me is one of the things that has been lost, and one of the things that has caused the problems somewhat in our society today. We do need to be aware of all of the different children and families that are part of the district, and to make room for the new ones that are coming along. And make them feel very welcome, and also to reach out again to our communities so that we have a real strong connection between the community and the district. And that just in many ways learn from the year that we've had and bring into the structure of continuing years all of the good things that have taken place, which I think there have been many. And I think the district has learned a lot. And I don't want to forget those or have them lost. And I just look forward to hopefully having the opportunity to serve some more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edie. Jennica, you're next for your 2-minute closing.
Yeah, I just want to also take a chance to say thank you. And this has been an enjoyable experience. And I look forward to interacting more. You know, in some ways, Sisters is changing, and we're growing, and we're going through that process. But in so many ways, we really remain unchanged, and we can hold fast to what makes this town special. And I'm so proud and honored to just be a part of that community and our district community, and our sense of purpose, and of like our district family, and that kindness and humility. I appreciate that the board and the superintendent and the staff and teachers, and I think there's a lot of thought and being just thoughtful in considering the different opinions and options, and being good about communication. And I really I'm excited about the opportunity to serve our kids, and to continue that, and to keep that going, and to keep what really makes us special, and find ways to improve it. And I look forward to the if the bond comes through, then I look forward to that, and it's an exciting opportunity. So again, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Kevin, your 2-minute statement.
Yeah, thank you. I'm here without any specific agenda. I don't have we're in a well-run district. We have tremendous teachers. We have great administration. We have a really strong board. Edie, by all accounts I've heard and seen, has really served the district well since she, assumed the seat last year. And I really want to thank her for her service to the district. And, again, there's not a lot of school board volunteer dollars. It's out of the generosity and out of, passion for helping the schools and helping students. So I do think I can offer a different level of experience and expertise that would help the district in the coming years, as I've outlined through the questions today. I'm hoping my motivation to run is compelling, and that I earn enough support from voters in our district. Regardless, I'm very confident our district is in great hands. So yeah, I guess I'll end with that. I'm not launching an aggressive campaign to win the seat. At the same time, I'm just offering myself to expand upon volunteer service that I've been giving the school in the background. So thank you.
Thank you all for participating today. You guys all did great on that. And so now I have to go on to the script. Thank you to the candidates for participating in today's forum. Thanks to the League of Women Voters of Deschutes County and the City Club of Central Oregon for partnering to get this information out. Remember, if you enjoyed today's forum and would like to help cover the cost, please consider making a donation to the City Club on their website at cityclubco.org. And if you're interested in becoming a member or making a contribution to the League of Women Voters of Deschutes County, please contact them through their website at lwvdeschutes.org. Thanks again to our Candidate Forum Series sponsors, G5, Miller Lumber, Brooks Resources, and the Deschutes Public Library Shearshaw's Group, and Louis Capozzi. Without their support, we would not be able to bring you these forums to make and keep your democracy strong. The next candidate forum will be the Ben Lapine School Board, Zone 1, 2, 4, and 7, and will air on Thursday, April 22nd at 5:30 p.m. Please be sure to watch. Thank you for your interest and in keeping democracy alive. This was